Commander Jack Miller stood at the viewing window of the Earth Defense Fleet flagship Defender, watching the alien ships approach. They were unlike anything humans had ever seen before. Smooth, dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, with strange patterns that glowed blue along their hulls. "They're hailing us again, sir," said Lieutenant Dan, the communications officer. Miller nodded. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life, showing a creature that still made Miller's skin crawl even after 3 previous meetings. The Vex had pale gray skin that looked almost like stone, with 4 black eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Their mouths were small and lipless, more like slits in their face than proper mouths. "Commander Miller," said the alien in its oddly flat voice, "we are pleased to continue our talks." "Ambassador Kron," Miller replied with a polite nod. "The feeling is mutual." It wasn't, not really. Something about the Vex made Miller uneasy, but he was a soldier following orders. Earth needed allies, not enemies, especially now that humans had spread to several colony worlds. "We request permission to dock for face-to-face discussions," said Kron. "Permission granted. We'll meet you in Docking Bay 3. An hour later, Miller stood watching as the Vex shuttle connected to the Defender. 5 Vex officials walked out, moving with that strange, too smooth gait that made them look almost like machines rather than living beings. "Welcome aboard," Miller said, giving the greeting gesture that the Vex had taught them, right hand flat against the chest. Kron returned the gesture. "We bring greetings from the High Council. They are most interested in forming an alliance with humans." "As are we," Miller said. "Please, follow me to the conference room." As they walked through the ship's corridors, Miller noticed how the Vex turned their heads to watch the crew members they passed. Her black eyes seemed to linger especially long on Ensign Roberts, who was showing pictures of her newborn baby to another crew member. "You have young on this vessel?" Kron asked suddenly. "No," Miller replied. "We don't bring children on military ships." Ensign Roberts was just showing pictures of her baby, who is back on Earth with family. "Fascinating," said Kron. "Your species shows great attachment to your offspring." "Of course we do," Miller said, feeling slightly confused. "Don't the Vex care for their young?" "Our reproduction is different," Kron replied. "But we find human family structures most interesting." The meeting went well, at least on the surface. The Vex agreed to a basic peace treaty and trade agreement. They seemed especially interested in cultural exchange, asking many questions about human society. "We noticed that humans expend considerable resources on their young," said one of the Vex officials named Mech. "They seem remarkably inefficient. They cannot contribute to society for many years." Miller felt a strange chill at the way Mech said this. "Children are our future. Every human society puts great value on protecting and educating our children, even to the point of sacrificing adult lives." Asked Kron. "If necessary, yes," Miller answered firmly. "There's nothing most humans wouldn't do to protect a child, even one not their own." The Vex exchanged glances in a way that Miller couldn't read. "Interesting," said Kron. "We would like to learn more about human children. I can provide educational materials about human development," offered Dr. Linda Reed, the ship's chief science officer. "That would be acceptable," said Kron. Later, in Miller's office, Dr. Reed voiced her concerns. "They ask too many questions about our children," she said. "It feels wrong." Miller nodded. "I've had the same feeling. But the High Command wants this treaty signed. The Vex have technology we need, especially their faster-than-light drive improvements." "Still, I added a special clause to the treaty," Reed said. "It specifically mentions that any harm to human children would be considered the gravest possible violation." "Good thinking," Miller said. "Though I can't imagine why any species would deliberately harm children." The next day, the treaty was signed. The main points were simple: non-aggression, trade rights, and respect for each species' territory and colonies. "We look forward to a long and beneficial relationship," said Kron as the ceremony concluded. "As do we," Miller replied. But I want to make one thing very clear. The treaty specifies this, but I want to say it personally as well. Humans value our children above all else. Any harm to them would be considered the worst possible offense. It would unite all humans against whoever was responsible. Kron's 4 eyes blinked slowly. We understand, Commander. Rest assured, we have no interest in your offspring beyond scientific curiosity about their development. As the Vex prepared to leave, Miller watched them with unease. Something still felt off, but he couldn't put his finger on what it was. Safe journey, he said as Kron boarded the shuttle. Until we meet again, Kron replied. From the viewing window, Miller watched the Vex ships pull away, their strange blue patterns glowing against the blackness of space. I don't trust them, said Reed, standing beside him. Neither do I, admitted Miller. But orders are orders. At least we have the treaty now. What neither of them could see was what happened inside the Vex command ship. Kron entered a secure communication chamber and activated a hidden channel. First contact phase complete, Kron reported. The humans are as we expected. Technologically advanced but held back by their emotional attachments. What of their young? Asked a voice from the other end. They are indeed the key, said Kron. Humans will do anything to protect their children. This can be useful. Proceed with the next phase, ordered the voice. Identify the most isolated human colony. We need specimens for study. Already done, said Kron, bringing up a star map. A small colony called Horizon. Recently established, minimal defenses, many young ones. Excellent. We will wait 3 cycles to avoid suspicion, then proceed. The humans' emotional weakness will be their undoing. As the Vex ships jumped to faster than light speed, Commander Miller stood watching the empty space where they had been. He couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible had just begun. I want all information we have on the Vex reviewed again, he told Reed. And I'm going to recommend increased defenses for our outer colonies, especially those with children. Better safe than sorry. Little did he know that his instincts were right, and that in 3 years' time, he would face the consequences of this first contact. The Vex had no idea what would happen when they crossed the one line humans had clearly drawn. Do not harm our children. They would learn, but by then, it would be too late. 3 years had passed since the treaty with the Vex was signed. On the frontier colony world of Horizon, life had fallen into a comfortable routine. The planet had rich soil, clean water, and a climate that reminded many settlers of Earth's temperate regions. Tom Green wiped sweat from his forehead as he finished repairing the colony's water filtration system. Before moving to Horizon, he had been an engineer on Earth's military vessels. Now he used those skills to help build a new home for his family and the 200 other colonists. Dad, come look what I found. Tom smiled as his 8-year-old daughter Emma ran toward him, her brown hair bouncing with each step. She held something cupped carefully in her small hands. What did you find, sweetheart? He asked, kneeling down to her level. Emma slowly opened her hands to reveal a small creature that looked like a cross between a butterfly and a lizard. Its wings glittered with rainbow colors in the sunlight. It's a flutter lizard, Tom said. They're native to this planet. It's so pretty, Emma said, eyes wide with wonder. Can I keep it? Better to let it go, Tom said gently. Wild things need to be free. Emma nodded and opened her hands. The creature fluttered its wings and flew away. They both watched it disappear into the sky. Mom says dinner is almost ready, Emma said. She made real potatoes today, from our garden. I'll be right there, Tom promised. Just need to finish this connection. Later that evening, Tom sat on the porch of their prefabricated home with his wife Lisa. They watched Emma playing with the other colony children in the central green area of the settlement. She's growing so fast, Lisa said, leaning against Tom's shoulder. I'm glad we made the decision to come here. It's a good place for her to grow up. Tom nodded. Clean air, space to run, other kids her age. Better than those crowded city towers on Earth. The colony's warning siren suddenly blared to life, making them both jump. "What's that?" Lisa asked, fear edging into her voice. Tom was already on his feet. "Unscheduled ship approaching." Could be nothing. But the colony's communication system crackled. "Unidentified vessel entering orbit. All citizens please return to your homes until we confirm their identity." Parents rushed to gather their children from the green. Tom ran toward Emma, who looked confused by the sudden activity. "Come on, honey," he said, taking her hand. "We need to go inside for a bit." They had almost reached their home when the sky darkened. Tom looked up and felt his blood turn cold. A massive ship hung above them, unlike any human vessel he had ever seen. Its dark hull absorbed the sunlight, with blue patterns glowing along its sides. "Vex," he whispered. The ship was not alone. 3 smaller craft detached from it and descended toward the colony. Colony security forces moved into position, but they were few. Only 5 trained soldiers with basic weapons. This was supposed to be a peaceful colony, not a military outpost. "All civilians inside," shouted the head of security. "This is not a drill." Tom hurried Emma and Lisa into their home and locked the door. He moved to a hidden panel in the wall and opened it, revealing a small pulse rifle, a remnant from his military days that he had brought along, just in case. "Tom." Lisa's voice trembled. "What are they doing here?" "I don't know," he said, checking the rifle's charge. "But the Vex signed a treaty. They can't just." A blinding flash of light cut him off. The windows of their home shattered, and a strange humming filled the air. Tom felt himself unable to move, some kind of stasis field. Through the window, he could see the same happening across the colony. People frozen in place, looks of terror on their faces. The Vex ships landed in the colony center. Tall, gray figures emerged from the ships. They moved with purpose, checking homes and buildings. Tom struggled against the invisible force holding him, but couldn't move an inch. He could only watch. Emma whimpered beside him, also caught in the field but able to make small sounds. "Daddy, I'm scared." "It's going to be okay, sweetheart," Tom said, though he had no idea if that was true. The door to their home crashed open. 2 Vex entered, their 4 black eyes surveying the room coldly. One pointed a device at Emma. "Suitable subject," it said in a flat voice. "Age and development optimal. Don't you touch her," Tom shouted, still unable to move. "We have a treaty." The Vex ignored him. One of them approached Emma and placed a small disc on her forehead. She slumped immediately, unconscious. "No," Lisa screamed. The Vex picked up Emma's limp body and carried her out. Tom fought with every ounce of his strength against the stasis field, but it held firm. Through the window, he could see similar scenes playing out across the colony. The Vex were taking children, only children, from their homes. After what seemed like hours but was probably only minutes, the stasis field suddenly dropped. Tom fell forward, catching himself on the table. He grabbed his rifle and ran outside, but it was too late. The Vex ships were already lifting off, taking their precious cargo with them. The colony's central communication tower had been damaged, but not destroyed. Tom sprinted toward it, joining other desperate parents who had the same idea. The colony's administrator, an older man named James, was already trying to send a distress signal. "They took 12 children," he said, voice shaking with rage and fear, including Emma. "I'm sorry, Tom." Tom pushed past him and grabbed the communication controls. As a former military engineer, he knew exactly how to boost the signal to reach Earth faster. "This is Horizon Colony," he transmitted. "We are under attack by Vex forces. They have abducted 12 of our children, ages 6 to 10. Request immediate assistance. Repeat, Vex have taken our children." As he worked, a message appeared on all screens in the colony. It showed a Vex face, one Tom recognized from news reports about the treaty signing 3 years ago, Ambassador Kron. "People of Horizon Colony," the message said, We have collected specimens for study. Your young ones will be returned once our research is complete. Do not attempt rescue or retaliation. This is a scientific mission only." The message ended, leaving stunned silence behind. "Specimens," Lisa whispered, having followed Tom to the communication tower. "They called our children specimens." Tom's hands clenched into fists. He had seen what the Vex ships could do, knew the kind of weapons they had. The colony had nothing that could chase them, nothing that could fight them. But he also knew something the Vex apparently didn't understand: what humans were capable of when their children were threatened. "I will find her," Tom promised, pulling Lisa close. "I don't care what it takes. I don't care if I have to build a ship myself. I will find Emma and bring her home." In orbit around Horizon, Kron watched the colony through the ship's sensors. The humans were sending distress signals as expected. It would take days for those signals to reach Earth, and days more for any help to arrive. By then, the research would be well underway. "Begin preliminary testing on the specimens," Kron ordered. "I want to know everything about how human young respond to stress and fear." What Kron failed to understand was that the Vex had just crossed the one line humans had explicitly warned them never to cross. They were about to learn exactly what that meant. Commander Jack Miller was in the middle of a routine briefing when the emergency alert sounded. He rushed to the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, where officers were gathered around the main screen. "Report," he ordered, stepping into the room. Admiral Wilson looked up, her face grim. "We just received a distress signal from Horizon Colony. The Vex attacked them 3 days ago. They've taken children, Jack. 12 of them." Miller felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. "Taken children? Are you certain?" "The message is clear," Wilson said, playing the recording. Tom Green's desperate voice filled the room, describing the abduction of his daughter and 11 other children. "Those gray-skinned monsters," Miller muttered. "I warned them. I specifically warned them about harming our children." He turned to the communications officer. "Get me a direct line to the Vex Council." Now, while they worked to establish communication, Miller studied the report from Horizon. The Vex had used stasis technology to immobilize the colonists, then systematically collected children between the ages of 6 and 10. They had damaged communication equipment but caused no other destruction. "Sir, we have a connection to the Vex," announced the communications officer. The screen flickered, and Ambassador Kron's face appeared. Miller had to control his anger at the sight of those 4 black eyes, so cold and emotionless. "Commander Miller," said Kron, showing no surprise. "We anticipated your call." "You've violated our treaty," Miller said, keeping his voice level with effort. "Return the children you took from Horizon immediately." "There is no need for alarm," Kron replied. "This is a simple scientific study. The specimens will be returned once our research is complete." "Specimens." Miller felt his face grow hot. "Those are children, Ambassador. Human children. Return them unharmed within 48 hours, or there will be consequences." Kron's face showed no reaction. "Your emotional response is noted but unnecessary. Our research requires approximately 30 of your Earth days. The young ones will be returned at that time." 48 hours, Miller repeated. "That's our only offer." "Or what, Commander?" Kron's voice had a hint of amusement now. "Your ships cannot match our speed. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. We have studied your military capabilities extensively. You think you know what humans are capable of." Miller leaned closer to the screen. "You have no idea what you've done by taking our children. 48 hours, Ambassador. After that, you'll understand exactly what it means to face humanity's wrath." Miller cut the connection before Kron could respond. He turned to Admiral Wilson. "Activate the Prometheus Protocol." Wilson's eyes widened. "Are you sure? That's our last resort option. They've taken children. Admiral, there is no greater offense. Begin the preparations." Across the room, officers were already moving with new purpose, The Prometheus Protocol was a contingency plan developed after first contact with alien species. It detailed the full deployment of humanity's true military capabilities, technologies and weapons that had been kept hidden from all alien observers. "And get me everything we have on Tom Green from Horizon Colony," Miller added. His daughter Emma was among those taken. On the colony supply ship Merchant, Tom Green sat quietly in a storage compartment. 3 days earlier, he had bribed a cargo handler to smuggle him aboard. The ship was scheduled to deliver supplies to the Earth Defense Fleet outpost, and from there, Tom had a plan to reach Vex space. He looked at the small photo of Emma he carried, her bright smile, her innocent eyes. "I'm coming, sweetheart," he whispered. The ship's engines changed tone, signaling they were approaching their destination. Tom prepared to move. As a former military engineer, he knew exactly how these ships were laid out. He slipped out of the storage compartment and made his way toward the shuttle bay. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Tom froze, thinking he'd been discovered. But the announcement that followed had nothing to do with him. "All personnel, this is the captain. We've received emergency orders to dock with EDF Command Ship Defender. Prometheus Protocol has been activated. This is not a drill." Tom felt a chill. During his military service, he had heard rumors about the Prometheus Protocol, a plan for full-scale war that would reveal weapons and technologies kept secret even from Earth's own citizens. If that protocol was active, it could only mean one thing: Earth was going to war with the Vex. In the Vex research facility, Emma Green sat huddled in a corner of her cell. The room was small and white, with strange lights that never turned off. There was a bed that wasn't really a bed, more like a shelf attached to the wall, and a small toilet-like thing that flushed automatically. Emma wasn't alone. 5 other children were in the same room, all from Horizon Colony. The youngest was 6-year-old Billy, who hadn't stopped crying for his mom, and the oldest was 10-year-old Mark, who kept telling everyone they needed to be brave. The door slid open, and 2 Vex entered. Emma shrank back against the wall. These aliens scared her with their gray skin and 4 black eyes that never blinked. "Subject 7, said one of the Vex, pointing at Emma. "Come for testing." "No," Emma said, shaking her head. "I want to go home." The Vex looked at each other, seeming confused by her refusal. One of them pulled out a small device. "Resistance noted," it said. "Increasing emotional stress will provide valuable data." The device projected an image in the air, Emma's home on Horizon. Then it showed her parents, Tom and Lisa, looking terrified as Vex soldiers approached them. "No," Emma cried. "Don't hurt them." "Fascinating," said the Vex. "Subject shows more distress for parent units than for self. Confirm previous hypothesis about human young." The second Vex approached Emma. "If you resist, your parent units will be collected for study as well. Comply, and they remain unharmed." Emma stood up, her small hands balled into fists. "My dad was in the military," she said. "He's going to come for me, and he's going to be really, really mad at you." The Vex made a sound that might have been laughter. "Human young show interesting imagination. Your father has no means to reach this facility. Now come." Emma followed, not because she believed their threats, but because she remembered what her dad had once told her. "If bad people ever take you somewhere, pay attention to everything you see. It might help you escape, or help others find you." So she looked carefully at every corridor, every door, every Vex they passed. She counted her steps and remembered which way they turned. The Vex didn't seem to think she was smart enough to do this. They brought her to a room filled with strange equipment. Other Vex in different colored clothing waited there. "Begin emotional response testing," ordered one. As they attached sensors to her arms, Emma thought about her dad. He would come for her. She was sure of it. And when he did, these aliens would be sorry they ever took her away from home. On Earth, Miller stood before the World Council, the emergency governing body for all human colonies. "The Vex have left us no choice," he said. "They were warned. They took our children anyway. I've activated the Prometheus protocol." "The consequences will be severe," said one council member. "A full-scale conflict with the Vex will cost many lives." "And what is the cost of doing nothing?" Miller asked. "What message does that send to every other species in the galaxy? That they can take our children without consequences? No, the Vex crossed the one line we clearly drew. Now they'll learn exactly what that means." The vote was unanimous. Earth would go to war. As Miller left the chamber, an aide approached him. "Sir, we've received a report. Tom Green, father of one of the abducted children, has gone missing from Horizon Colony. He's believed to have stowed away on a supply ship." Miller smiled grimly. "He's going after his daughter. Good. Make sure our forces know about him. When we attack, I want that man found and helped, not hindered." The Vex had no idea what was coming for them. They were about to face the full fury of a species that would do anything, absolutely anything, to protect its children. The 48-hour deadline passed with no word from the Vex. On the bridge of the Defender, now the command ship for Earth's assembled fleet, Commander Miller watched the countdown reach 0. "They've made their choice," he said quietly. He turned to Admiral Wilson. "Launch the Prometheus ships. From hidden bases on Mars, Jupiter's moons, and deep space stations, vessels unlike any seen before emerge." They were sleek, black, and much smaller than regular human battleships. For decades, Earth had been developing these ships in secret, equipped with technology far beyond what they had shared with any alien species. "All Prometheus vessels report ready, sir," said the tactical officer. Miller nodded. "Transmit jump coordinates to all ships. We strike directly at the heart of Vex space." The assembled fleet of over 200 ships, most of which had never been seen by non-human eyes, prepared for faster-than-light travel. Their destination, the Vex homeworld. "They think they know what humans are capable of," Miller said to Wilson as the countdown for the jump began. "They're about to learn how wrong they are." Tom Green had managed to transfer from the supply ship to a small scout vessel. Using skills from his military days, he had reprogrammed the ship's computer to accept his commands. Now he flew through Vex space, following the tracking device he had built. Before leaving Horizon, Tom had analyzed the energy signature of the Vex ships. Every vessel left a unique trail in space, and he had designed a device to follow it. The trail led to a large space station orbiting a red dwarf star. According to the ship's computer, this was a Vex research facility. "Hold on, Emma," he whispered. "Dad's coming." The scout ship was small enough to avoid detection as Tom approached the station. He found a maintenance dock on the far side, away from the main entrances. Using the ship's tools, he cut through the outer door and slipped inside. The corridors were empty. Tom moved quickly but carefully, using his homemade scanner to detect life signs. His military training came back to him as he avoided security sensors and cameras. After 20 minutes of searching, the scanner picked up readings that could only be human children. They were being held on the lower level of the station. Tom made his way down, his heart pounding with both fear and hope. In the testing room, Emma sat with sensors attached to her arms and head. The Vex had been showing her pictures and videos, measuring her reactions. Subject shows strong emotional response to images of parent units in danger, noted one Vex researcher. Confirmed that human young prioritize family safety over personal comfort. "What is purpose of this attachment?" asked another Vex. "It seems inefficient." "Unknown. Perhaps evolutionary advantage in primitive environments." Emma tried to ignore their talking. She had been counting the days since her capture. This was the 5th day. The Vex thought she couldn't understand their plans, but she listened carefully to everything they said. "Tomorrow we begin Phase 2 testing," said the lead researcher. "Isolation effects on human young." That sounded bad. Emma didn't want to be alone. She already missed the other kids from Horizon, who were being held in different rooms. Suddenly, alarms began to sound throughout the station. The Vex researchers looked up in confusion. "Security breach in Sector 7, announced a voice over the station's speakers. "All research personnel evacuate to safe areas." The Vex hurried from the room, leaving Emma alone with the sensors still attached to her. She quickly pulled them off and ran to the door. It was locked, but through the small window, she could see Vex running in the corridor, looking panicked. Something was happening. Something big. On the Vex homeworld, Ambassador Kron stood before the High Council, reporting on the human ultimatum. "Their deadline has passed," Kron said. "As expected, they have done nothing. Their threats were empty, as our intelligence suggested." The lead counselor nodded. "The research data from the human young is valuable. Their emotional attachments make them unique among species we have studied." An aide rushed into the chamber, his gray face showing signs of agitation. "A rare emotion for a Vex. High Council, we have detected a massive energy spike at the edge of our system," the aide reported. "Multiple ships have appeared. They are human vessels, but they do not match any known human ship design in our database." "Impossible," said Kron. "Human ships cannot reach our system this quickly. Their faster-than-light technology is inferior to ours." The chamber's main screen activated, showing a fleet of sleek, black ships approaching the Vex defense line. They moved with incredible speed, easily avoiding the Vex defensive fire. "They hid their true capabilities from us," the lead counselor realized. "Activate all defenses. This is not the human response we anticipated." On the research station, Tom found the cell block where the children were being held. 6 doors, each with a small window showing a child inside. He spotted Emma in the 3rd cell. "Emma," he called, working to override the door lock. Emma's face lit up with joy when she saw him. "Dad, I knew you'd come. I told them you would." The door slid open, and Emma flew into his arms. Tom hugged her tightly, fighting back tears. "We need to get the others," Emma said immediately. "There are 11 more kids here." Tom nodded. "Show me where." With Emma's help, Tom freed the other children from Horizon Colony. As they gathered in the corridor, he tried to figure out their next move. His small scout ship couldn't carry 13 people. "We need to find a bigger ship," he told the children. "Stay close together and follow me." As they moved through the station, more alarms began to sound. "Warning. Human fleet detected in Vex space. All personnel to battle stations." Tom smiled grimly. Earth had come for its children, just as he had. On the Defender, Miller watched as the first wave of Prometheus ships engaged the Vex defense fleet. The new human vessels moved with incredible speed, their advanced weapons cutting through Vex shields like they weren't even there. "Sir, we've detected human life signs on the research station in Sector 4, reported the sensor officer. Miller leaned forward. "How many?" 13, sir. 12 children and 1 adult. Tom Green, Miller said with certainty. "He found them before we did." He turned to Wilson. "Send a strike team to that station. I want those children rescued, and that man brought safely to the fleet." On the main screen, they watched as Vex ships fell one after another to Earth's hidden fleet. The Vex had never seen Earth's true military might. Like many before them, they had mistaken human restraint for weakness. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Vex High Council," announced the communications officer. "On screen," Miller ordered. The lead Vex counselor appeared, his normally emotionless face showing clear signs of distress. "Commander Miller, we wish to discuss terms," the counselor said. "This attack is unnecessary. The research subjects would have been returned as promised." "Those research subjects are children," Miller replied coldly. "You were warned. The time for discussion has passed." "We did not understand the significance," the counselor insisted. "We offer immediate return of all human young and formal apologies." Miller's expression remained hard. "Too late. The Prometheus Protocol is in effect. You will surrender unconditionally, or we will continue until there is nothing left of your fleet." As if to emphasize his point, Another Vex battleship exploded on the screen behind him. For the first time in recorded history, a Vex showed fear. "We surrender," the counselor said. "Please, stop your attack." Miller nodded. "All ships, cease fire." He leaned toward the screen. "Now about those children." Miller smiled. "That's exactly why you're getting a medal, Tom. You showed the galaxy what humans are willing to do for their children. You infiltrated a Vex facility with nothing but homemade tools and determination. That's the kind of courage we want the galaxy to know about." The ceremony began, with the world president presenting medals to Miller, Tom, and several others who had played key roles in the rescue. Emma watched proudly as her father received his award. Afterward, at the reception, representatives from 7 different alien species approached Miller. They had all come to establish formal relations with Earth after hearing about the defeat of the Vex. "Your species is impressive," said one ambassador, a tall, bird-like being. "We had no idea humans possessed such technology or resolve." "We prefer peace," Miller replied. "But there are some lines that should never be crossed." 6 months later, life on Horizon Colony had returned to normal. Tom and Lisa sat on their porch, watching Emma play with her friends in the central green area. The children showed no lasting trauma from their ordeal, bouncing back with the resilience only children seem to possess. "She's doing so well," Lisa said, leaning against Tom's shoulder. Tom nodded. "Kids are stronger than we give them credit for." In orbit above Horizon, a small defense platform now stood guard, a gift from Earth Defense Fleet to ensure nothing like the abduction would ever happen again. Similar platforms now protected every human colony, visible reminders of Earth's commitment to its most precious citizens. Emma looked up from her game and waved at her parents. She had become something of a celebrity among the children, telling exciting stories about her adventure in space and how her dad had rescued her from the aliens. Some parts of her story seemed far-fetched, like how she had memorized the layout of the Vex station or understood their research plans. But the truth was, Emma had provided valuable intelligence that helped Earth understand Vex technology and culture. "She's going to join the fleet when she grows up, you know," Tom said with a smile. "She's already decided." Lisa laughed. Like father, like daughter. Across the galaxy, word had spread about what happened to the Vex. The story grew with each telling. How humans had hidden their true power, how they had unleashed devastating weapons when their children were threatened, how one father had invaded a Vex station alone to save his daughter. Other species now approached human colonies with careful respect, especially when children were present. The message was clear and would be remembered for generations to come. Humans might be peaceful explorers and traders. They might seek friendship and cooperation, but harm their children, and they would stop at nothing to protect them. We warned them. They didn't listen, and they would never make that mistake again.